Definitely. First question, more than anything else. More than anything else. No, wait, hold on. I have to do the intro thing because I'm going to cut it. So, okay, I got to do the intro. So, hey, welcome to here. I do these interviews for random people who RP with me and I think are great. So, I pick people who I haven't seen a whole lot of, or I've seen a lot of, but they do something really interesting or different, or I think they're great. Or I sort of just pick people I don't know anything about sometimes. Kind of random at that, but most of the time it's people that I think are really good at RPing, and then I just interview them about, you know, the basics of RPing and what strategies they're involved with and what they're using, and
So you mean absolute chaos?
Yeah,
mashing stuff together.
Hey, guess what? That is who I am inside. So that is, yeah, that's what we're here for, chaos. So I gotta ask first, do you use a voice changer for your character?
For London, I did.
Okay.
The only character I have.
Because I heard you speak without it, and I was like, wait, is that what he sounded like? I can't remember.
That's not what...
Okay. But I also, like, you sound closer to London than I thought you would, honestly. So that's really cool.
Yeah. It's not a million miles off. It's just slight adjustments of pitches and stuff like that. So.
Wow, cool. Yeah. I have that mic too. Nice.
Yeah.
So you played London, this vampire person who, I guess, a bad guy or something like that, or possibly evil or something. I couldn't really tell because I didn't ask a lot of questions. But before... Oh, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, I think he was someone that I intended to be evil and kind of rolled a bit differently as the story went, but... Yeah. It was an experiment for me.
How did you get into RP, and like how'd you get to this server and all of that stuff?
So me and a friend were playing Conan a couple of years ago and saw that it was a game, but it needed a little bit more to it. So I started to watch a few streams, come across RP that way, and it was like, you know what, I'm tempted to give this a go. It looks like it could be good fun, it's got potential. Started off on a Time of Origin server, done a couple of seasons there, and funny enough, coming to Lost Legends was a bit of an experiment for me because my last character in RP, the RP kind of died off, and it was getting to the point where I thought, well, should I carry on doing this or just find something else to do? So come over here as an experiment. It's like, you know what, I want to try and play a bit of an arsehole of a character. I don't really want people to like him too much.
Yeah.
And yeah, I really enjoyed London. Really enjoyed playing him. You know, it mixed it up quite a lot. So yeah.
I think you achieved what you wanted. Obviously Barry wasn't super in-depth involved with London, but you did come to the play and were the diva and stuff. So I think you were, you know...
Yeah, like, he came across as that arsehole he needed to be at times, but other times he was alright.
Yeah, I agree. Did you say an amount of time? Like, have you been RPing for years, or...
Oh, off the top of my head, it's probably about a year and a half, 2 years.
Cool. Me too, sort of. Right in there-ish. Dope.
Yeah. It's at that point now where I know there's more experienced RPers than me, but I think I'm starting to catch up a little bit.
Yeah.
Always still learning.
I feel the same way. Like, I get that other people are doing things that I don't necessarily do, and I want to try that, you know, like that sort of thing.
Yeah, you want to start pushing new limits.
Right. Yeah. I don't think I can though, but I don't know. Maybe.
Yeah. Well,
I'm moving this fan back down.
One of London's first, 3 weeks of being on that server, he had threatened to kill someone. I thought I'd never be able to do that. So.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's worth just trying pushing yourself out there. Like I said, I've really enjoyed playing him this season. So,
Do you have any like improv experience or like D&D RPGs, any of that stuff, or you just like came to it?
Just came to it. I've never done D&D. I think I played one time of World of Warcraft trading card game, and that's it. That's all I've got behind me. So yeah.
Wow.
No previous experience. It's just I really like the look of it and wanted to have a go.
Shout out to the WoW trading card game. What a great piece of completely abandoned gameage. I liked it personally. Yeah. Anyway, would you agree that? Well, I don't know what you've experienced. Would you agree that Conan RP is pretty serious, at least when it comes to comparison to other RP settings that you may be familiar with?
I don't know. I think it just depends on the people really, and the setting of the servers. So, I've seen servers that will, as soon as story's over, it just like that it flicks, and then everything starts to become silly and stuff like that. And I think it's just it depends on who the RPers are, what they bring to it. So there's some really good people out there that bring an amazing story, and you get sucked into it so much that takes all the silliness away.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, I've.
Oh yeah, you could continue your thought. I just say a lot.
No, just it does seem serious, but I think that's credit to the admin and the stories that they build. You know, there's clearly a story written, and a lot of people really buy into it. So, yeah, good.
How do you feel about the very admin-driven story that we saw most recently, I guess?
To be honest, I think they've done really well. Considering how many admin there are, how many, and the premise of the story and what they had to do, they've done extremely well. What I'd say to them is if they want help, just shout. I think they need to shout out to more people for some support. I'm sure there'll be people out there that really want to play Deathcore and just mess people up. But no, they did really well. You know, I know the server's fairly new as well. You're always going to have that issue of pleasing people. One group wants to do this, one group wants to do that. So, yeah, they manage it well, in my mind.
I have never ever seen a server with a story driven by admins. Like, that's not something that I've seen on any Atlas server. I was an admin for an Atlas server. Like, that's not something we really do there, at least that I've seen. And I don't know if that's done on Arc or not. So coming into this server, I was like, what is gonna happen? How can they possibly do it? And I agree, like, when there was an attack and Thyra died and all that junk happened, I was like, oh, I get it now 100%. And it's very cool and very different than anything I'd seen.
The one thing that I'd say about this server that I found really amazing was, obviously there's a plot to a storyline, and they allowed that to deviate along with the players' stories. You could see that certain stories would have such a huge impact on a large part of the population that then they'll adjust the actual main story for it. I was really impressed by that. Really impressed.
Do you think that that sort of thing leads to isolation of some people because, like, the story is so hinged around specific types of players, specific characters, that sort of thing? Are any of us pushed to the side because of it?
I mean, I saw Barry fighting 2 Deathclaw at one of the battles. The last person you'd expect to see at a battle was Barry, but he was there. You know, I think there's big stories always going to have big isolation because different groups going to do it different ways. And I saw something here that I saw in another server a couple of seasons ago, and it's like I could see that rip where you had the bigger groups getting all the information, the smaller groups not getting it. And again, the admin flipped it very quickly, and that information got spread out. They've done really, really well with doing that. And it was actually nice to not see what I saw previously, where there was so much disarray on the server. It was just like, what's the point of playing? Again, they've done a fantastic job with that.
For the record, I felt like it was wrong for Barry to be at the fights, personally. That was not something I intended to do. I never intended to use any damage at all, because I've long held the idea that you can RP without ever playing the game. I play this concept called leech characters, in which I don't gather, I don't build, I don't play the game. So I had no intention to ever do that. But because everyone else was so set on fighting and all of that stuff against the Deathclaw, it didn't make sense for a person to stand at the side and watch his friends all go into battle and not try and help. And I thought, I have to play it differently because it doesn't make sense. And I was literally on the fence, and Hilda said, come with us. And I said, I don't think I should. And she said, I think you should. And I was like, then let's go. Let's freaking go. And like, that was a big turning point in Barry, in which I changed what he was going to do. I gave him new goals, new everything, because it made sense. And I've never seen that ever, I don't think.
But that's character growth, isn't it? Barry grew with it within that season rather than between seasons. So, but that's what I really like about it. London took a really different path through this for me for this season. You know what? Okay, I had to adapt, but I really like where it went. And being able to have other RPers come into your character's story and have that much of an impact, for me, it's really awesome. You know, it's having all these different stories develop with each other and move along at the same pace. I love it. And I was really impressed to see Barry there. So
yeah, the admin server like story is the only reason. Like 100%, I would not have gone that way if that wasn't running. So I think that's really interesting, and that's why I want to like talk about it so much and think about it and all of that stuff. Yeah, Barry was a one-day joke, by the way. Yep.
Well, he lasted a very long time. I'm surprised he managed to walk as much as he did. I used to see him walking, and it's just like, oh, for fuck's sake, Barry.
Yeah, I like that hardcore style, that that don't play the game kind of thing. Like, I like that junk a lot. So it was interesting to see something like force me out of it. That was cool. Dang, what was I gonna say? Oh, character growth and stuff. So Conan has a lot of these like adult themes, really, more than any other game that I've seen for RP because of the setting, we think. Do you think that's accurate? Sex, slavery, nudity, like, do you think that's more prevalent in
From what I've seen, yeah, definitely on Conan. I have no idea. I'm just guessing the people that develop the mods are horny as fuck and got nothing better to do. But,
yeah.
It's down to what you do with it. Obviously, it's there. Use it if that's what you want to use. Just don't push it in people's face. You need to have that respect. No.
Dang it!
But I'm sure it's everywhere. We just don't see as much of it. No.
I forgot the disclaimer, by the way. If at any point you don't want to answer something or have it on stream, you don't have to say it. I don't care.
No, you ain't got to worry about that.
Yeah, no, I know.
Too late for disclaimer.
Yeah. So on slavery specifically, London owned another person, an elf, right?
So this was
at least from her point. What was that experience like?
So again, London was a development character for my RP, but he was also a development character for me to get out of like COVID anxiety slump sort of thing. And I saw a very quick opportunity whilst during RP where that character was talking about what had become from them. And I had London turn around, pull out a bit of paper, scribble down a receipt, and say, "Yes, I made that purchase."
Yes.
Off the top of my head, just thinking, and then everyone's like, "Oh yeah, well, fair enough."
Nice.
And
Okay.
yeah, that was a purchase made, and yeah, it was just an ad hoc moment where I was like, "I'm going to try something. Let's see if it works."
Okay.
But yeah, I think as long as both sides of the party are happy with playing that, as long as it's not too much and there's nothing perverted about it. If it can drive a story, then by all means,
I so I've only played servers that outright ban slavery, and
yeah,
when I came to Conan, I had never played Conan. When you met Barry, that was the second day. Well, I mean, I played, but like I don't play the game, right? So I've never played, right?
yeah,
So that was me walking in completely fresh, and the first interaction was Ivania bringing me to you people, and I learned that there was a slave like in front of me, and I did not know what to do because I had never seen it, right?
yeah.
And I didn't know if that was accepted or not. I didn't know any of that stuff, and I was like, I'm just gonna stay silent and see what happens, like.
Just go with it for a bit and see what the hell's going on. Yeah, it makes sense.
So
that for me, that was just me trying to be quick about responding to some RP, and yeah,
well,
London made a purchase.
it made it acceptable to me in the long run, because there was that conversation about Nelly being owned and all that stuff, and I was like, I don't think I could play on this server. I don't support that like at all, right?
Yeah.
And then after you walked away and the other wood elf said, hey, if you ever need anything, I'm there for you. We're wood elves. I will try and free you. I will try and save you. Let's talk about this. I was like, okay, there's tension, there's drama. Like, I accept this because I can tell the story of being against it.
Yeah.
Along, I was like, cool. Okay, we're good.
And that's the thing that I created London for. I wanted him to have those conflicts. I didn't want everyone to like him. I wanted people to actually want to kill him. He wasn't meant to last anywhere near as long as he did. I was expecting at some point him just to be cut up into pieces, but somehow he made it.
Yeah, what did those pivot sort of things look like? You said that you had to sort of change things. Was it because you couldn't, I guess, find the evil or the negative that you were searching for, or it didn't fit or something?
I think at the time it didn't fit. Don't get me wrong, it's still a new type of character to play for me. I've been so used to playing that sideline character that just goes along with things, but I think it was just there was a moment where London's little petty conflicts that he was causing at the time had no weight compared to what was going on in the rest of the server with the Deathclaw, so he kind of stepped back and went, actually, my family's starting to get at risk now. The Deathclaw are stalking our grounds. Had enough. We need to sort this out. Let's grow up a little bit. Yeah, it was the admin that did it. Basically, we had a Deathclaw outside the house with a note, and it's just like, okay.
That's dope. I also think that you, and part of it's your voice, because it's have an accent and it's interesting to me and like that sort of thing, but also I think you played the dark sort of potentially evil character really well. There's a really big stereotype where all the pirates, all the bad guys, everything wear black and red, and they have the voice changer and all that stuff. But when I interacted with London, I believed it more than other people, and I didn't want to cringe and claw my face off. Do you have any thoughts about that?
My main thought was, most of the time when I was playing London, it wasn't you're a bad guy. It's London's a sassy bitch.
Okay.
He's going to look down at people at times because they're not as sassy or as fancy as he is. That's how I went with it. And then there was times when he had to say some pretty evil stuff, and it was just like I dig a little deeper.
Right.
But a lot of the time it was just London was sashaying away, looking down at people, and it's like, okay, whatever you say. That was really hard to play for me. By the way, I hated it a lot of the times because I felt so sorry. But
that's really interesting. Like that concept of I don't like what my character's doing, but I'm still doing it because I'm playing that character. I think that's great.
You got to be true to your characters. Otherwise, there was no point spending that time coming up with them and their backstory and getting all these people to know them for a certain way, and then suddenly, oh, by the way, I like to wear tutus. It just doesn't make sense. You got to stick true to them.
So I skipped a bunch of questions there because that's what I do, and I just like go with stuff. But how do you make your characters, and how much effort do you put into them and stuff?
I feel rather guilty because I don't think I put in anywhere near as much effort as a lot of other people do with like backstories and lore sheets and stuff like that. Lawrence, for example, my last character I played, it was very much let's make a man with a mustache and see where it goes. London was different for me because, as I said, I wanted to expand my RP experience. I wanted to get out of that slump, so I put a bit more into it. But I kind of try and develop more as the season goes, rather than just having all this backstory and trying to push it so people know it. I'd rather they experience the story with me as I develop.
I've done a bunch of these interviews. Well, I say a bunch. Anyway, it doesn't matter. And that's pretty much the answer that it always is other people always put in more effort than me, and I try and build the character as we go along throughout the season, or, when I think of something interesting. But for anyone who's watching, I have actually interviewed players who do the full backstory and stuff. They just appear to be more rare or something, or maybe I don't pick them. I'm not sure what it is, but
I mean, London had some backstory, so if people asked who he was and what he'd been doing, then there was something there, but I wanted to move forward with him. I just didn't want to have to keep explaining what he did and where he's come from and why he's here.
Right.
So I found that more important for me. But it's interesting to know that there's a lot more people out there that feel the same when it comes to creating their characters.
Actually, I hear the same answers over and over and over again for most of the questions, which is why I try and like ask specific questions to specific people, because I don't want you to, I don't want you to have to say something that someone else has said, just so that I can soak time from you or something like that. Like I want stuff from you,
I get it, but don't worry, you're not soaking any time. Barry did that a lot, but you're not. Don't worry.
Yeah, that was my point. And Barry, I wanted to prove that you didn't have to keep going and you could stop and walk and not have stats and all that stuff. Speaking of, how do you feel about stats and the gameplay side of things?
I saw something this season that I hadn't really ever seen before, and it actually got to a point where it was winding me up and it was making me consider changing up London a bit. But again, I was like, it's not who he is. He's not what he's going to do.
Yeah.
Seeing the min-maxing and people just using every mechanic to make their character that bit stronger. There's a lot of the whole I have to win RP, and London started doing some training, and he would openly say to people, with this training, I expect you to put me on my arse. I don't expect to win. I want you to get good. But having all those people around, like, I'm not sure if you knew there was a quiver that would give you extra vitality and extra, I think it was grit or something. And you'd see people that their characters never pick up a bow, but hang on a minute, they're wearing a quiver on their back. And it's just like, come on, be true to your character. Try not to be a winner.
I don't know anything about anything, so I tried to be an example 100%. So once I figured out sort of just the very bare minimum of who people were, like what the story was, what the environment was. I was like, I'm sticking to this hardcore. So if you watch, well, if you go back and look at my streams, there's no HUD, so you can't tell. But sometimes when it's on, I'm not wearing armor. I don't have any stats. I never did the dice thing. Like, I was level 40 forever. I did not have anything like the other people, and I felt it all the time. The strength around me. It was crazy.
It's always there, and the last server I played on, I think their season was ruined very quickly because they allowed so much power gaming that within the first 2 days of the season being up, there was people that they had everything already, so they were developing on their RP, whilst other people didn't have that opportunity and were just constantly grinding.
Right.
It's a hard one to balance, and I think it's people being true to themselves and saying, "Hang on a minute, would my character already have all these diamonds, all these gemstones, and be able to craft it so quickly?"
Right.
Do they know people with the lands? But I suppose it doesn't matter where you'll go, you'll always get that where someone wants to be the big strong guy.
Yes, I could say that it's true in every single game, no matter what, because I've played multiple types of games now, or multiple areas, or whatever. It's always that way, so I don't do that. It doesn't interest me, and I don't care. So I'm willing to be an example of someone who can die at any time, kind of thing. And that's Barry. Like, if someone had actually fought Barry, like, there was a point where Amy and one of the vampires were gonna fight, and I turned into bear form because Amy was clearly upset, right? And I was like, if we fight, Barry will perma 100%. So I was ready,
Funny enough, I remember because London and Hilda moved up to Valhalla Rising with them lot. And I remember Sandy saying, "Oh, Barry's going to make me the hammer. Barry's going to go and help me get this now. We've done a deal." And I remember him coming back like 2 hours later and be like, "Yeah, Barry's not strong enough, not well trained." It's just like, oh my God.
Yeah.
And I knew exactly what he meant.
Couldn't. Yep. That's exactly what happened. Oh, man.
And do you know what? Absolute credit to you for doing it that way. When I found out you were level 47, I was just like, fair play to this man. Fair play for him to have that dedication to not follow what everyone else is doing. So yeah, well done there, bud. That was impressive.
That was great, and that was one of the points where I don't know the game. I've never crafted on the server at all. Like, not any single thing. I didn't unlock any discovery, like whatever that thing is called where you like can make new stuff. I never unlocked anything. So I didn't know that I wasn't going to be able to because I didn't know anything, right? But I wanted to start learning the game. It felt right for Barry to start getting skills to help because he was starting to fight. So I thought, let's do this junk. And I couldn't.
And Barry was suddenly going to craft this huge hammer, and it's just like, hang on a minute.
Oh, it was so good.
Yeah. That was brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. It made me laugh my head off in out of character. No, fair play. But yeah, it's for me, Lost Legends, they've done a lot really well with the server, and I'm really impressed. So, and to see the diversity of different characters and different play styles on such a new server and see it all managed so well, I think that's what impressed me the most. You had your Barrys that would walk around offering out cups of teas. You'd have your guys that are constantly sparring, or little storylines going on everywhere, and seeing everyone unite at the end. It was really impressive.
I agree. The sparring thing, the fighting thing, the collection thing, none of that interests me as a person, but I very much value it, and I understand that, like, the characters would do that stuff. I get it. So it doesn't, I don't mind personally if I'm sitting for 3 hours waiting for someone to walk up and there are other people out sparring. I don't care. Like, that makes sense, right? But one thing I was really confused about, concerned about, and I don't think agree with, there were characters, because the season was so long, characters who existed left the server and then came back to the story later on, and I've never seen that before. I was so confused.
Yeah, I don't think I'd be able to do it myself personally. If you leave and then come back, you got so much to catch up on. So much happens in between. How are you going to find the time to suddenly just jump back straight into it and go, yeah, I know where I am?
Right.
But again, I understand people get burnt out. I think we all do it very easily without recognizing it, that we will burn ourselves out in RP and just suddenly, we're
Right.
all drained. You can feel the energy across the whole server sometimes, where it's just like, ugh.
Right.
So I don't know. I think it gives people an opportunity sometimes. But yeah, for me, seeing people step away or leave, should we say, they leaves, that character leaves and then comes back. Each their own. For me, it doesn't work.
Yeah.
If you're going to be part of the story, then yeah.
I agree. It's not something I can do, but it was the first time I had seen it, so I wanted to get your thought on it. Maybe it's something that's common, but if it's not, that's also fine.
Yeah, I mean, out of character, for me, it doesn't work. In character, so and so's back from their holiday, or they've chosen to come back. I think that's how I look at it.
True.
We all need a break every now and then. I think the weird one for me is seeing them leave with that character, play another character, then come back as the original character. That's what, for me, it's just like,
yeah,
that must be so hard on the player to be able to do that, to be able to quickly jump into another character, and that's their thought process, and then come back to being the original. Yeah,
right.
I wouldn't do it.
I think that might require maybe like a, not that I think anything about any rules, but maybe something like, hey, if this character has been played previously, you gotta wait a longer time or something. Something like that.
Longer cooldown. Yeah, it'd be a good shout. Yeah. A longer cooldown. Okay, you've made them leave. They've chosen to do this. They need to have left for a month at least. Yeah.
Something like that. Yeah.
That's cool.
So I learned when I asked you to do this that you have a different time zone than me. Are you in another country than the US?
Yeah, I'm in UK. Cool. It's pretty much 2 a.m. for me right now. So a lot of my time when everyone's getting into the RP, that's when I'm starting to go, yeah, I should be going to sleep now. So,
right.
But I know there's a few of us on the server.
So how do you overcome that? Do you have any tips? Do you wind up playing with other European time people?
No, the majority of the people I play with are from the US. I'm a bit of a weird beast. I've worked shift work for the last 13 years, so my body's become very used to getting 4 hours sleep and going, you know what, you can do 12 hours off of that. So I think for me it's just experience. The one thing I would say is don't ever force yourself out of character to be awake in character. If you're tired, just take a rest. The story will come back to you.
Right.
You see so many people that wear themselves down. They shouldn't do. It's about knowing yourself.
I agree.
Yeah.
I actually said it on stream a number of times where I was saying I'm losing the voice because I'm doing a voice all the time, yeah. I'm losing the voice. I gotta do something else, or like go walk around, or even stop because I can't do the voice anymore. So I agree with that.
There'd be times with London where I'd park him in a room and I'd step out for half an hour and go and just get a drink, relax, and then come back. It's important to not just solely focus on delivering that character the whole time. For me, everyone needs to look out for themselves. If you want to deliver that character, you want to deliver them 100%. To do so, you have to be 100%.
Right. I struggle with that personally, but I agree also. I just don't always do it.
And I'm guilty to it as well. There'll be points where I'm stuck in the story and I'm really interested in it. My character's starting to yawn, and it's like, hang on, you're a vampire. Why the hell are you yawning? It's like, I'm really sorry, And then kick up the arse and I step away.
That's an interesting point. I hadn't even thought of that, because these these other supernatural beings, they don't operate the same way as we do. I hadn't thought of that. Interesting.
Yeah. About staying in character, shall we say? You know.
Okay, I got a new question. Oh, carry on.
Yeah, go on.
Well, so I think there's a lot of interesting things that can come from being or letting realism go through the mic, because you're hitting a button, right? So
Yeah.
I have this thing where, especially when I do my voices, I breathe in a specific way, and it's really annoying, and I hate to listen to it. So I try and cut that out. But after talking to a lot of people, real reactions and real things make RP real, right? So I will let a sneeze go through that normally I would mute if my character makes sense to sneeze. Like, that's funny and that's cool, and people will say in character, bless you. How do you get those sort of really tangible details as an otherworldly creature?
For me, with London, it was a lot of emphasizing, like I said, he was a bit of a sassy bitch.
Huh?
So, if I thought that he would groan, he would definitely groan and make people know that he's just not pleased with what was going on, or look down on people at times, again in character. But using the emote system sometimes as well, like London would snap his fangs and stuff like that. And if people could pick up on it and they could see it, then brilliant. They see that those emotions are there. And another good thing with vampires is London was always hungry. He had to feed. It was an opportunity.
Okay.
Especially with the animation.
Did you play into that, and sort of like, if you need a food break, did you play into that with London, or is it more the
definitely.
emotes and stuff? Okay.
Oh no, definitely. London would run off and eat, and I'm downstairs shoving a chocolate bar in my face.
Right. Right.
It's definitely used as an opportunity both ways, I believe.
Yeah. So obviously you're a proponent of emotes, just like Hidalgo is. I am trying, but it's not something I do automatically, and I don't know if I ever will. Do you have any tips for utilizing the emotes well?
Well, yeah, it's being in the same room as other people is important. If you're in a room on your own and you're typing out emotes, nobody can see what's going on.
Yeah, true.
If you're trying to drive your story, make sure people are around to be able to possibly see it. But also bear in mind that they may not see it. I know a lot of people that will play and say, "Hang on, my character hasn't seen what you've just typed, so I'm completely unaware." And I think that's a really good way of playing it. So it's just choosing your audience, choosing your time, not going over the top with it, essentially.
I agree. Of course, I have to, because I consider you the doctor of emotes at this point. I don't like. Unfortunately, playing with the HUD off means I don't see a lot of that stuff, and I have to turn it on sort of regularly just to check what happened.
It's good. It's finding that fine balance between, hang on, I'm emote in everything I do, and then hang on, there's nothing you can't express your character. I think you need to use it sometimes. It's for like those things. So showing a facial reaction. A lot of times I'd put like London gives off a wicked grin or something like that. It gives people that opportunity to see, hang on, this is how he's reacting to it. One of my last big ones I did was Viserion was talking about how neat he was, and he put his cups back before continuing with the conversation. So I typed away there, London hopes no one notices as he tips the cup into the flower pot. And I saw other people roll perception. It's like, brilliant. People read it and they were picking up on it, But for me, the emote system's really good. One thing that I really struggled to buy into myself is the constant dice rolling.
Yeah.
I find that the dice rolling is more of a forced way of telling a story, whereas you've got this opportunity to use your voice and deliver something to people,
Yeah. like I said, I didn't have any stats. I also didn't have any dice set up. I actually tried to set that up, and there didn't seem to be a way for someone to tell me, at least the people I asked, how to do it, because like it's so
finicky.
pre-character. Yeah, it doesn't, like it's so strange to think of a system that your character can't possibly discuss, but also defines what your character does in the next moment. Like, it's so strange.
Yeah, I can see how that would be difficult. I personally didn't really want to use it. I say it out, but I think I used it once for pulling an arrow out of someone's back. But other than that, I stayed away from the dice system. I just find it can be a bit too forceful. You know, if somebody rolls a really good roll, they're going to expect you to follow up on it. But if you want to be true to your character, sometimes you're not going to be able to follow that roll.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, I guess in the example of the arrow, if you're really deft or whatever the stat is, because I have no idea, and you pull it out clean and there's no damage, but that character that you're pulling it out of thinks that it's shattered or whatever, like how can your two stories possibly exist?
Exactly. Yeah. And I think that's why I liked playing London as well, because you could see people would really buy into the dice rolls, and sometimes I was a bit of an arsehole, definitely an arsehole, and it's just like, whatever. This sort of situation, this is how London sees it, this is what he sees, you know.
Right.
That doesn't matter if it was a critical success or a critical fail for you. You did well or you did bad.
Right. That's good. I'm gonna try and work on it more and like learn and all that stuff, I guess, maybe. But it's interesting to hear your thoughts about it and find someone else who's not interested in it really, you know, that sort of thing. I appreciate that.
I can appreciate the reason why it's there.
Yeah.
A lot of people coming from like D&D and stuff like that. But for me, if I'm going to tell a story, I'm going to tell it through my voice. I don't want not even real dice, but digital dice to tell my story for me.
Right. Speaking of dice, do you operate under like the perma conditions, or do you have that stuff set up for your characters ahead of time or anything like that?
I don't know. If the story's good enough and someone kills London, they kill London, you know, or whatever character it may be. Again, for me, it's very, very driven by the story and where it goes. If at any point someone had cut London down and said, taken his head, I'd have permed there and then, you know.
Right.
It's just you're telling your own story. I've just seen Sandian say he's going to kill me. Good luck.
Yeah, of course.
But not only are you telling your own story, but you're also providing to others people's stories as well, and that's the thing to remember. I've seen it so many times before where people are trying to force their characters so much that it actually drives people away rather than drawing them in and building this lovely story together.
Right.
So it is, yeah, always remembering it's a two-way street. You need to consider what the other person may be thinking and where they may be wanting to go with their story.
That idea and that concept is something I've asked a ton of people about. Like, the idea that when you RP, you're basically trading, right? You're giving your time and your investment for their time and their investment, and it's about like respect and gratitude for their time. So,
yeah,
since it seems like that's a value you think exists and that sort of thing, do you have any tips for people to they RP to show that they're gracious for the time and like respect the other character and that sort of thing?
I think just by showing the buy-in, your character's not always going to be the kind of character to sit there and go, "Thank you so much for all this time." So you might have to word it differently, but actually buying in and showing interest in whatever somebody else is trading with you, should we put it that way, I think that shows it a lot. You know, I've had characters before where they're trying to buy themselves in, explain themselves, and people kind of just walked away. And straight away I've just known, okay, well, this is how it's going to be for this character. You can get fucked, but whereas where I had that mutual interest and people were actually buying into it, then it was like, yeah, this guy's showing me some respect and give him some back,
Right. Okay, well, how about this? Since you're such a good dark sort of character in London, people like Barry, if the first thing doesn't work or whatever, like if I make the joke and London's like gonna stand back, reserved, not really accept the joke, I might not continue the joke simply because it doesn't work or whatever. So there are there ways that I, who play silly characters, can provide or offer things that are different to dark, silent, broody kind of characters?
I don't know if there is, because they are dark, silent, broody. You need to stick true to your character. So is your character going to pick up on that they're not buying into your story or your joke, or does your character care that they're not listening? Are there other people around that are actually finding you hilarious at that point?
Right.
And I knew this. There would be times where London would be told he's being broody and moody and stuff like that, but that's who he is. But for me personally, when I was playing that, I didn't want it to impact anyone else's story around me. That's just London being a moody bitch. If you're playing that fun character and you find someone that's dragging it out or bringing down the mood, for me, yes, you want to involve them, but if they're going to affect your character that much, would your character still stick around near them?
Right.
In real life, would you? You wouldn't. So why should your character?
Right. Well, the Mad Hatter would. The Mad Hatter is unhinged and would do whatever he wants nonstop.
Yeah.
It seems like. But me playing Barry, it's definitely not the Mad Hatter, right? So I actually did exactly what you said. And I think that's cool and valuable. All the people who seem to step back and away or say negative things as Barry walked away, all that junk, several times people asked, who doesn't like you? And I would list those names right off. Like, here's some people, here's what they look like, here's where they live. And I tried to get them assassinated, like, obviously through silly means, but they got on hit lists. And
Barry had intentions.
I don't think Barry did, but he made these friends who wanted to protect him, right? So
yeah.
The vampires who said negative things, Tatsu, I think is his name, the dragon kid or whatever, that guy did not like Barry. So when someone asked, who doesn't like you, I'll take care of it, I was like, this name right here.
This guy.
I felt like that was a way to give them RP like way past what they had expected, because they're not expecting to be on a hit list because they talk negatively to some random bro, so I thought that was a cool idea.
And for you to do that's brilliant, because it's a reaction to their actions, and I think that's a lot of the times that's something that people in RP forget, is that your character's actions will have some repercussions somewhere along the line. You're going to piss someone off at some point, and they're going to come for you, or they're going to do something, or they'll speak to someone, and you might actually start to have these people like you or dislike you. A lot of the times you see people forget that with the way they're acting. But the one bit of advice I'd say is, if you're playing a happy, cheery character and you've got a character that's a miserable git, that's only in character. There's no out of character with that, and people need to not let the bleed happen either way.
Of course. Did you find yourself wanting to tell people, like, hey, London said some stuff with my voice, but I didn't mean it,
There was one time where I did I did do it actually. It's somebody I knew from a different server. I didn't know them too well, but I knew of them. And yeah, London. It was the person London threatened to kill within like 2 seconds of seeing them because of where the story had been. And I messaged them straight afterwards, and I said, "Look, I'm so sorry about what I just did. It was London in character." And they're like,
Yeah.
"Oh my god, you're London. That was amazing. Please carry on." And I was like,
Yeah.
"Shit, that's not the reaction I was expecting at the time." And thank you, you know.
Right.
So yeah, it that one interaction there that helped me a hell of a lot more than I ever thought it would have done. I'm grateful for that. But yeah, I think don't be over the top out of character, but sometimes yeah, you're gonna have to ask permission. You're gonna have to know. So.
Right. For sure. I agree. I find myself just saying I agree after a lot of things, but the same thing happened to me. Those people that I mentioned who did not like Barry in character, we spoke outside of character and said, my character doesn't like you, but I do. I love Barry. I'm sorry,
Yeah.
or like, I appreciate you. So that's dope. I think everyone should, if you're worried about hurting someone's feelings because you're playing someone dark, definitely say something in general or even DM them or something. That's what I think.
Yeah,
Right.
you need to recognize you're going to piss someone off or you may upset someone, and reading the situation and how you handle it thereafter. I think that's the important thing for me. Because yeah, I felt really bad because this person literally just got out one of the caravans. London saw him, stormed over there, and said, "If you carry on doing what you're doing, I'm going to rip your fucking head off." It was so quick, and I was just like, "Oh my god, I feel terrible for doing that."
Hey, that's cool though. Like, you know, setting the scene for someone who isn't expecting it. I think that's really cool.
Yeah.
It breaks us out of that mold of the same scenario over and over again.
Yeah, and I think again for me that's really important. Why sticking to character and sticking to your idea of the story, even though yes, there'll be paths that change along the way, are very important. Because otherwise, it's all prearranged and it's all pre-agreed, and for me that's terrible. You know, would your
Yeah.
character actually agree to all these things that you're agreeing to out of character, or would they be like, no, fuck that?
Yeah.
Yeah. For me, it's important to stay true to character for that.
I don't know what my question was after that. I lost that thought as soon as I said but I do want to know about the voice changer. Like I said, I thought it was really good and really appropriate, but not over the top. Do you have any tips? Because I've never done it. I always use my own voice. So any tips for that?
I'll be honest with you. I just picked up on what I could hear people talking around me. When I first started with London, I received a DM from one of the other people, and they were like, "Listen, your voice mod's a bit pitchy or whatever it is.
Yep.
I can help you out." So I know for a fact that throughout the season, I've been toning it down gradually because even I could hear it, and I didn't like the way it sounded. It didn't sound how I originally intended it. If you're good with your voice, don't use a voice mod because sometimes you do hear these voices that are so demonic, and I'm actually playing and I'm sat there like, what did you say? I can't understand.
Yeah.
For me, it kind of ruins the situation. You know,
Yeah.
if you're gonna converse and be able to converse, you need to be able to be heard.
Right. I agree. But also, I think that there's a lot of people who don't get the opportunity to test things. They're playing alone. They have this idea for a negative character, and they don't get the chance to have a group or something, you know. And then no one tells them because they don't know it's not right, you know. So
yeah, it's hard running as catch-22. Like from what I've seen, like I'm terrible for it. I don't really get too involved with the community because when I'm giving my time, I want to give my time to my character.
Yeah.
But there are some amazing people in the community that will absolutely be stunning and helpful. You know,
yeah.
you see it all the time. So I think it's about not being afraid to reach out. Say if your character's a neighbor with someone else, just a quick DM saying, "Look, I'm trying this. Like, it's nothing personal. I just wonder if you could help me out with it." You know?
Yeah.
Don't be afraid to reach out for that support. If you don't ask, you don't get.
Yeah, I agree wholeheartedly. I've shared plenty of clips because that's what I'm here to do. Like, that's why I started and why I wanted to do it. I want to share clips of people that I think are great. And when I share some clips, they're like, I did not know the voice changer sounded like that. And I'm like, oh, dude, yeah, that's what it sounds like. And they're like, oh, I got to change stuff. So definitely check it with someone.
For real, yeah. I mean, anytime anyone hears a recording of their own voice, they're like, damn, is that what I sound like?
Yeah, true. Me too.
Whenever I hear my voice, I absolutely hate it. It's just like, it's not what I hear in my head. Why would you be so cruel to me?
Yeah, I agree. I don't like it either, but here we are. Here we are streaming to someone, and they're all listening.
Yeah. But no, for me, if you're going to play a character that's got these variations and you're going to think that people might react to it, seek someone out that you can use as a bit of support and say, look, hey, this is what I'm doing. You know, that people want, not only do people want to have great story for themselves, but me at least and those around me I've seen is they want others to have great story. So they're always going to support with that. If Barry had come in with a completely different voice, I'd have sent you a little nudge saying, hey, look, Barry don't sound right today. Is everything all right?
Yeah, I got you. I don't think that's what you're going for, kind of voice or kind of note. Yeah, on your voice. Yeah, I get it. I appreciate that. Thanks for the alternate universe in which I did a different voice. I appreciate your note. But on that thing about sending messages, telling people how you feel and like apologizing and all that stuff. Do you think these Discord communities that we're in, do you think that changes how we interact with characters and that sort of thing because we know those players?
I suppose it can have that effect on people. Again, I try to stick very true to my characters, and I suppose I have seen it where they're friends on Discord, so suddenly they're a clan and they're a clique, and then they're only RPing with themselves.
Right.
But I didn't really see that on Lost Legends. I was actually really refreshing to see, because it was one of the things before that really was driving me to stop RPing, is where I was. It was very much, oh, can I come and join you guys? No, we've got our own thing going on. So I ended up playing Lawrence, was an old man with a mustache, just sat there on a bench, and it's just like, yes, this is RP. He's been pushed out, but it's no fun for me. Why should I continue?
Right.
And I never saw that on this season. On this server. It may have been there, and I may have missed it, but people were so involved in of others. It was really good. I was really impressed to see it.
There's this idea of, cliques, like you said, and everyone knows about them if you've been in RP for any amount of time. There's the homies that are always together. They always find each other, even if they start in different places.
How does that
tough.
happen?
Well, it's tough because the only reason I RP is to play games with other people. Like, if I start playing games alone, I will be alone. You know what I mean? So I want to play with other people, but obviously I like my friends, and I like their ideas. So I feel more likely to seek them out and experience time with them, but I don't want to clicky and stuff. So
the way that I look at it is, as bad as it sounds, if you always stick to the same, what's going to change about you?
Right.
What are you going to learn? What are you going to develop? For me, I think I kind of have this natural hunger where I want to learn more. I want to create a better version of myself, be able to play better characters. If I always stay with the same people, do the same thing day in and day out, I'm not going to get those skills, and I'm not going to be able to give the people around me a better version of me with better story or better drive or better support. So yeah, for me, it's great playing with your friends, but manage that time very well. If there's people that want to buy into your RP, let them in. That's the biggest thing I can say.
I agree.
Because yeah,
I said it again. Dang it.
but the thing is otherwise you do end up excluding people, and then that holds heavy on people's chests and on their heads that they're being excluded. You know,
Right.
it's a very heavy feeling that it's hard to get rid of. And I know, yeah, a couple of my characters I felt it quite a lot. So I think I'm a bit more overly conscious now to recognise. Hang on, this character's being pushed away a bit. I'm going to pull you in a bit.
Yeah. That's another thing that I've really focused on in the past, and I haven't been asking, people for these interviews because there's so much new stuff that I want to look at, but it's interesting that you bring that up. I think really, really, really good RPers are people who stand in that same dumb circle that we always stand in and look at someone who is not speaking or not in the circle or whatever and says one line to them or brings them in or whatever. Like, those are the good people. Yeah. Would you agree with that sort of thing? And do you have any tips for doing that?
I don't know if I have any tips. It's just more of in the moment, but I completely agree with what you're saying, And you do see it that there's people there, and it's like, hang on a minute, so and so had their hand up. What was it you were going to say? That one moment of involvement for that one person can actually change their story a hell of a lot.
Yeah.
So if you ever have the opportunity, well, if anyone has the opportunity to pull someone in that's not being very vocal, just go for it. You're helping them out a lot more than you can imagine. It could be that they're a bit too anxious to discuss in front of others, or they're too shy.
Yeah.
Help them break down that barrier. No. God, I know one of my first characters, he just walked around, didn't speak to many people because of that anxiety was there for me personally.
Uh-huh.
But over time, I've been able to break it down and then, yeah, recognize when that's happening to others around me and help them.
Yeah. Dope. That's the thing I've thought about a lot. For a very long time, I played a character who didn't speak a whole lot, but because he was like, he was based on Eeyore, so he was very sad, and that was the idea, to like be on the outside, to be sad. So in doing that, like, also I was scared because I didn't know what I was doing, but just like you said, the anxiety, the worry. But in doing that, I also am very aware, like, there's a person sitting on a bench right next to us and we haven't said anything to him, which we might not normally, but like, Barry would ask if they want tea, or London would say, oh, you're too uppity to join the conversation, or something like that. Yeah. Boom, they're in it. It doesn't matter. They're in it now. That's so cool.
It's in the end, it doesn't have to be this massive interaction. It can be just a little accidentally knock them or something like that. It gives an opportunity for something to start, And it's just, don't get so tied up in your own story to not be able to recognize that others around you are trying to deliver their own story at the same time.
Yeah.
But at the same time, don't let other people steamroll your story.
Also true. That makes sense. Yeah. Because you'll find an old retired man going out on adventures to kill devil bears for some reason, which doesn't make any sense. And I'm going to die. Like, like,
you're going to get this old man killed just because you want some diamonds.
Right. Yep. And I recognized that was happening, and I tried to stop that. So I agree with don't let people steamroll you, but also include people. It's just like weird constant balance kind of thing, where you're trying to be aware, but you're trying to be involved, and focused.
I think it's very important to read someone else's character. For example, London would never have asked Barry to go and help him kill some things off, but if he was thinking about some styling or something like that, maybe he would have gone to Barry. It's right. recognizing what those characters bring, who they are, and what their skill sets may potentially be. But yeah, I'd never have gone to Barry to go and kill some devil bears.
Right, of course. Of course.
I would have certainly expected him to have put down a table and some chairs and sat there drinking tea in the meantime, you know.
I did that, yes.
Brilliant.
But like, I understand a lot of those times are people trying to include you, and that's cool. But I should have been more forceful from the beginning and say, no, this doesn't make sense. But I didn't know what I was doing on Barry, so over time I got more solid on it.
Yeah, I suppose it's a hard one because naturally as humans you do want to be involved, so you'll kind of go, yeah, all right then. And sometimes, yeah, we are playing a character, we need to remember, hang on a minute, this guy has no interest in going to a bathhouse. Why the hell is he suddenly there with all these dicks swinging around? You know?
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
It's that, like you said, it's that fine balance of, yeah, I'm going to develop my character a little bit, but this is way out of line for him.
It's so... The more I talk about it to people and the more I think about it, the more like broad it becomes. It's this thing where you're trying to focus on yourself and your character and other people and the story and all this stuff, and it just builds and builds and builds.
It can build, and I think it could be something very daunting. And for me, that was always a thing. Is that I was always thinking, oh, what if my character does this? How's it going to react? Just live in the moment, enjoy the moment.
Yeah.
If you have a bad interaction with someone there for a moment, it's either going to drive story, or 10 minutes later that interaction's over with anyway. You know, just enjoy yourselves.
Or sometimes you're tortured to death. You know, sometimes you just are.
Yeah, there's the possibility, but if that's the way the story goes, for me, if that's the way the story goes, and someone's going to torture my character and he deserves it, I'm going to let it happen. You know.
Yeah, of course.
I'm not going to suddenly go, oh no, you didn't torture me. If it happens, it happens. You got to stick true to that. And I think that's where a lot of people may struggle, because we fall so desperately in love with our characters and who they are and how they're perceived as people, that we kind of let that bit of reality slip away from it, where it's like they're invincible, they're not.
Yeah. Hidalgo is referencing my Eeyore character who was tortured actually twice. But I was actually talking about Barry, who was tortured for 50 minutes.
I had no idea about that.
Yep. It was very late, and I was making the end of a joke, and the vampires brought Barry in and tortured him for almost an hour. And it was like even when we were doing it, I was thinking, this is really intense. And the thing I was showing on stream, I was like, this is really intense. But all of us, none of us predicted or planned to do any of that stuff. We immediately talked about it out of character. Like, wow, I didn't expect that. I'm sorry. How are we gonna resolve this?
Do you ever think that during the process, not afterwards, there should have been a time where someone should have said, hang on, we need to stop for a second, just for a second, and discuss what's going on here?
So yes, but also because my characters have done similar stuff before, I'm closer to being okay with it. But if you watch that segment, which I don't think you should do, if you watch it, there's a point where my brain clicks off and I can't handle it anymore, and Barry says some stuff he would never say because I could not, and I said it in character. I was like, you must stop. You must stop doing the thing you're doing. The rest of this stuff can continue, but you must stop.
I think
so.
Yeah.
For
me, that's a moment of recognition, and that there should have been that out of character communication then and there, just saying, you know, we all agree to what's going on. I don't think anyone should ever be afraid to suddenly stop and say, what's going on? I don't think it's right.
Oh yeah, I agree. If anyone else finds yourself in that situation, definitely send a DM or something. I was cool with it the whole way through. The character who was doing too much because there were too many points did stop, like 100% stopped. So that was cool. Like, I'm glad we did it in RP, but then also I'm glad we talked about it out of RP because it was a lot.
It would have been very awkward afterwards. Yeah.
Yeah. But I was gonna perma, like I was done, and I was gonna perma, and they all talked me out of it. So,
was you gonna perma because Barry was in that situation and you didn't want him to be, or?
Two reasons. First, I wasn't sure how much the human body could take, and the things that they did might kill an old person. And I literally had that discussion, like, would this kill an old person? Is it enough? Would my mom die? Like. Yeah. Legit thought about it, and they talked about it. Yeah. they were like, oh yeah, the person would be messed up, but the human body can take all the stuff, all the junk, whatever. But also, I said I cannot play another sad character right now. I can't do it. Is there any way to bring it back? And they were like, yeah, we'll do it. We'll solve it. We'll bring it back. And I was like, cool, let's do it. So they did that.
Yeah. See, for me, there must have been a moment where it should have stopped. If it got to you to that point where you was like, hang on a minute, I don't know if I want to carry on playing this. There must have been a moment.
No, that I'm cool with. It was the part that comes after. Like if you're broken mentally, you're sad, you're depressed, you react differently. I can't do that right now. But all the stuff like up to that point, I was cool with. So,
again, that's about recognizing that your actions are going to have a reaction. So your in-game character actions may actually impact someone out of character, and you need to recognize that as well.
Oh yeah. Yep.
Because we essentially, from what I've learned with a lot of our peers, we're all broken in one way or another, and we're just trying to build that up out of character by having strong characters.
Wow, it's like my thoughts are coming out of your mouth. It's amazing. I think the same thing. Like I said, I talk to a lot of people like this, and they're like, I'm scared to talk to people, but I'm trying to make it through RP. You know what I mean? Like, that's amazing. Amazing. Keep going, bro. Yeah.
I think we're all very lucky to have this gift of RP where we can create characters and all talk when we're so naturally all be sat in the same room but all be facing away from each other. So it's
yeah, I agree. I said it again. Dang it!
A real motley crew.
Yeah, it's great.
I know it's helped me a lot. So it is good.
So you do think that there's value in practicing RP outside of RP and like improv and social skills and all that stuff, right? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, I believe that by doing RP, practicing RP, it can help you socially a lot. You know, I completely recognise that I had a lot of social anxiety, especially with COVID and lockdown and everything like that. It put me into a completely different mindset where it's like, I speak to people, I don't care, and I know that's wrong. So that was the point. You know, okay, I'm RPing. I'm going to develop these skills. I'm going to help myself. I'm also going to take the opportunity to help others. You know, I recognise that if I'm in that situation, I'm not the only person. There's a lot of other people out there like that. What can I do for them? How can I help them?
Yup. Exactly. And how do they see it? Through streams. Hooray! So, a beautiful segue into something I want to ask. How do you feel about streams? How do you feel about being on stream? And also the idea of the stream snipe sort of meta, all that junk.
So I think streaming's it's an amazing platform. It really is. I tried for it myself for a while. Anyone that streams, you've got a hell of a lot of dedication that I can stick to. I honestly don't mind being on stream if I can help. If by me just playing my character helps you get some revenue or helps you get noticed or whatever, by all means take that. You know, I'm enjoying myself. I'm playing that character. But when it comes to stream sniping, I absolutely fucking detest that. I you can tell when it happens. You know, you'll be in a battle and then suddenly somebody turns up that has absolutely no reason to be there, and it's just like, again, be true to your character. Get your nose out of somebody else's arse.
Right.
Play your character. You know, stop trying to be someone's best friend when it's not going to happen.
Yeah.
For me, there were 2 occasions, maybe 3 occasions where I spotted that and kind of killed the immersion for me because, you know, you see stuff and you read stuff online. I mean, you might be on a chat from stream or in the community, and you know somebody may be more favourable of someone, and then for them to suddenly turn up, it's just like, it doesn't make sense. You shouldn't be here. You're now diverting story just because you want to be in someone's presence. It's not fair. Don't do that shit.
Actually, this is not stream specifically, but this meta idea. It actually, I feel like the admin-led story plays into it more rather than less, because it feels like people are supposed to be involved. They're supposed to be ready for a fight, gearing for a fight. Oh, there's a war, we should be involved in that. But you think that's accurate?
I think to a certain degree. So the way they had it just now is you'd have your bases of where to be, right? So you had the forts. Okay, this is where you're going to find the RP. It was more, for me, the way that I saw it more where it was when it was worse and when it was stream sniping is the battles moved to somewhere clearly that nobody outside of the battle would ever know about, but yet new people are turning up ready to fight.
Right.
Yeah. There'd be a very clear line for me where, okay, we're at the fort, we're having a meeting, people would expect to find people here, fair enough.
Right.
We're in the middle of a jungle where nobody should know about because this is a top secret mission. What are you doing here in your Sunday gown? You know?
Yeah.
And I think people need to learn to be a bit more respectful for that. Yes, we all want to play with people and we want to drive our story, but stream sniping isn't the way to do it.
Yeah.
People immediately recognize it, and then it puts a sour taste in their mouth.
I agree. Oh, dang it. Okay, I'm gonna try and stop that. But what I'm trying to think is like So I think that the server-led stuff really pulled us into the same spots over and over again, because they were sending out like Discord messages like, hey, here's where junk is. Okay, cool. My character knows about that, right? But should my character know there's a meeting? Does it make sense that my character would know that there's a meeting? And then also, what if, like, okay, this is gonna sound wrong. To me, this is a small server. It definitely is bigger than most Conan servers I've seen, but this is a small server, and it's hard to find people, especially off times.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Would you say that meta like that is worthwhile to just go to RP?
I think the situation needs to be read really carefully. So if it's just you and one other and you're saying, hey, let's agree to develop our story this way, that's fine. But if you're going, oh, so-and-so's here, just come and turn up, it's fine, I'll say that you were sent at Raven. That's, that needs to be a bit more, it needs to be organic, there needs to be that natural thing about it. And I've made London purposely miss out on stuff that I knew was going on because I wanted to stick true to him in that way.
Right.
But like you say with the Ravens, for me personally, I think that was a good thing that the admins done that. That gave everyone that opportunity. Like I said, there was a point on this server that I saw going very similar to another server where at that time there were three big households. They had all the information. They weren't feeding it down to the smaller households. So on that server, at one point there were 30 of us and stood in this communal place. We were all from all the small households. We were trying to discuss what was going on, and then two members of the bigger household come along. They're like, "Why are you talking about this? It's common knowledge." And my character, the bleed fed in, and it's like, well, there's 30 of us here that are saying it's not common knowledge. So what the fuck are you on about? You know, and I actually think that what the admin's done here of sending out those ravens saying there's a meeting, so this is the sort of people we're expecting to see, that driv that involvement. And me personally, I was grateful to see that just because of previous experiences.
I think that usage of it is great. I'd also like to ask about, because I don't actually know because I never looked. There's a list of players online, right? And it has their names, I think? Maybe?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you find yourself wanting to use that meta, like, not to say like, oh, this person's on, I'm gonna RP with them, but more to say, like, this person across the map who I know where they live is on, I'm gonna find a reason to be in that area, kind of thing, just to try and get some RP?
Do you know how many times London stood on a door where there's no one there, and he's knocked multiple times, and he's just waiting to see if someone's turning up?
Hey, you're talking to the king of laying in front of a door, so I'm all over that. But I just wanted to ask, just to make sure.
No, I mean, again, that's each to their own. Some people, we all have our own timescales. I start very late in RP, but there's some people that have very limited time, so they might not want to take what's half an hour of their game time to run across and find if someone's not there. That's fair enough. But if you're going to have those people that will be checking that list and going, "Oh, they're on. I'm going to find them."
Yeah.
There's no need to find them. If your RP lines up, it lines up. If it doesn't, it doesn't. Recognize that.
Yeah.
You can't. Your character can't always be involved with the big story.
So I have this categorization of characters that I've developed over time, and I don't think that Barry and London are the same, because I would categorize Barry and myself as a player as a leech. That's me. But London seemed very self-sufficient and able, I guess. I don't know if you would agree with that, but also I would consider London as more of a story character, not really a gatherer or anything like that. And it's difficult for me to reconcile me being a leech and standing on a door and you not being a leech and standing on a door. Like, why would you even do that,
Yeah, but I mean, it's the story that you bring as well, Barry was the only person I've ever known in game that was like, I'm going to put a play on, You may be in a leech, but at the same time, other people were able to leech off you because they were having all these engagements, they were having all these involvements. It's
right.
You drove. You may not have driven main story, but you've driven there and then story for people that have got them excited. I was so excited to play this diva character where it's like, where's my tent and all this. Barry gave London that opportunity, so he was thankful for it, and me personally, I was thankful for it. Again, it's about sticking to your character, and if people around it can work to that, then it's spot on. But
when I say leech, I guess just because obviously you don't know, you don't hang with me, so I consider what I play to be solely RP. I do not gather, I do not provide, I do not trade, or any of that stuff, right? So what I do is every single moment is geared towards creating a story that someone can walk into or that I can tell later or any of that stuff. And that's my trade, right? You trade your resources to me to give me gear. I trade you some random story about laying on someone's front door. And it just seems crazy to me that someone so powerful, so involved in a household and all of that stuff, like London, would also stand at the door. And I know it's, you know, the play times and who's on and who's there and all that stuff, but it just seems wild to me.
For me, it's the expectation that I know not everyone's going to come to London, and London's got shit to get done. He needs to do it.
Okay.
You know, and that will lead to him being stood at a door or leaving a note and stuff like that. Yeah. Again, London was an experiment for me, and I wanted to have a character that was a hell of a lot more involved. I wanted people to look at him different to how they looked at my previous characters, and I think I achieved that with him. No, he wasn't just the old man sat on a bench or the town fool that's drunk on the wall. I was happy with him, but I think regardless of play styles and stuff like that, there's always going to be similarities between characters that you just can't explain because, like you said, the time zone differences or
right,
just people living their own adventures.
Wow. I don't know if you actually answered, but this is something I check everyone. Sounds wrong, but I just check everyone to see if you're a streamer, and a lot of the people on the list no longer stream, but did at some point. Why'd you stop?
Why did I stop? I stopped enjoying it.
Okay.
In all honesty, I was part. God, it's about 3 years ago now. I was part of a big community that was there to help each other streaming. Obviously, they had their higher tier of people they were helping, and sometimes it was great, and sometimes it was absolute shit. I couldn't handle that inconsistency of knowing where I'm going to be and what I'm doing. I was also still working a 12-hour job on top of it, and at the end of it, I had to sit back and say, you know what I'm doing now, I'm not enjoying. I'd rather just game to you that way. Not to say that I haven't considered coming back to stream, but I think deep down I know it's not really for me.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
So, like I said earlier, credit to anyone that does stream at the moment because I know how hard a game it is, and even to have more than 10 viewers, you know, especially in a community like Conan. So. Yeah.
For the record, that sounded like, I don't know, weird. I just picked non-streamers because if you're a streamer, you have a platform already. You can say what you think. And I just want to, you know, ask people that I can't sit in their Twitch and ask the question, you know? So, yeah.
And I think that's a very good quality that you've got about yourself is that you recognize, hang on, there's all these people out there already that people can bombard with questions and almost speak to in a way.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's a good value. I appreciate it.
What I've discovered is, like, the people I ask to do these interviews are so representative because so many of us are so similar that, like, I feel like it's helpful to, you know, look at someone else that you think is amazing and go, oh snap, I have that same idea, I have that same worry, I have all that same stuff. Wow, cool. Let's continue, you know? I think that's dope. So hopefully someone picks that up and
it's always eye-opening for me because I think we get so caught up in our own emotions and our bag of flesh that we are that we forget that, hang on, there are thousands and millions of people out there that they feel the same as we do right now. Yeah. And for me, it's always refreshing to go, yeah, I'm not alone. There's others out there.
Yeah. So then, I don't have any more questions, except what would you tell someone who started just like we did, or is starting right now, has never streamed, has no idea if they can do it, or the people of the community who are already there. What would you say to those homies?
Do it, but just, you don't know if you don't try.
Yeah.
You might like it, you might not. You might find something, a quality from it that you can use elsewhere. Just give it a go. Don't be afraid to try anything.
Yeah.
And don't be afraid to ask for help as well. If you know there's people around you that can help you, ask for it. Because most of the time people are willing to help out.
Yeah, I agree. Oh shoot. I think that I'm willing to help anyone. Like give them a hook or something. I talked about that with my friend Gob. He just needed one single point as an anchor to get onto the server and start the story, and he was hunting Barry, and that was it. Perfect. That's the whole relationship to the server. His character was his own. He created all that stuff. The only tie-in was this one little thing, and I'm willing to do that. If you want to pretend to maybe be my son or whatever, it doesn't matter. Even if I don't know about it ahead of time, I will go with that junk. I'm ready.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people are.
You need to be ready for it, because someone's always going to throw something at you, and you need to be able to roll with it very quickly. Otherwise, it won't be organic.
Right. True.
But yeah, I think the best thing is just be ready for anything to happen.
Okay, but it's not scary. If you're new, it's not scary. Don't worry. I mean, it's a little scary, but it's not.
It's scary, but the feeling you get when you come out the other side of it's fantastic, and you feel like you've grown.
Yeah, and the story along the way, and the friends we made along the way, or whatever it is. Yeah.
That's it. There's a lot of opportunities there. You just need to take them.
Yeah. Awesome. That's all my questions. Great interview. Okay.
Thank you very much.
Oh yeah, did you wind up using that thing I gave you, that heart thing or whatever it was?
Yeah, it's in London and Hilda's house, just there in the corner. When I first pulled out, I was just like, what the fuck is this?
I don't know.
Some sort of love swing or something.
I thought it would be really funny to play into that diva thing again, after the fact, to be like, oh yeah, you're fans and all this stuff. I
really appreciated that. I really did.
I didn't know I've never seen it in person. I don't know what it looks like. Oh man, that's funny.
It's interesting.
I'm gonna have to log in.
It's like a photo booth setup. It's really weird.
Yeah, it's called photo something or whatever, but I had the idea to do for Barry to do what's it called, speed dating. I thought that would be really cool, and just have one of those in little segments around the treehouse, and so you just hop from one to the other. But we never did it. It was too late, I felt like, and all of that stuff. But
you should have done it. I think that's the one thing that this server could have done with is those little breakups. They take people away from the main story, and it's it's a little bit of fresh air in between.
Right.
Those little events where there's no death clause, people are just having a laugh. That helps a lot.
I play characters who do events. It's something that I really enjoy, hosting events, planning them, all of that stuff. I've done a ton of those. It's something I like, and I think that they're really fun to see who shows up at. I don't do the Discord stuff where you invite people like that. That's not me. So it's if you hear about it in game, you come. If you miss it, you miss it. That sucks.
And that's very much the same as how London was doing his training. So he really wanted to bring people in and train them a bit differently, because you go to battles and there's just swords swinging around everywhere, left, right, and center. But it was never about just kicking ass. It was always about people coming together and sharing their knowledge. And it was really, I really enjoyed actually seeing that and just being able to step back and watch people naturally take on not these responsibilities, but these actions that were coming from what London was doing. They were doing it themselves now without even realizing.
Yeah. And if
those small little occasions are amazing.
If those characters continue and grow and all that stuff, boom, you're in their story without, like, you exist no matter what. That's so dope. I love that, John.
Mm-hmm. It's definitely something.
Yep. Well, like I said, that was all my questions.
Cool. Well, thank you very much for having me.
My pleasure. It's always great to hear my own thoughts come out of someone else and then go, yeah, freaking yeah, exactly.
I agree.
I agree. Dang it. Why do I keep saying it? Oh my gosh.
Yeah. No, it's been good fun.
I have had fun as well. I appreciate it. I appreciate your time. What else did we say we should tell people? Like, I value what you brought to the server and the story and all that stuff. Yeah.
Thank you. And I really value what Barry brought to the server. Bumbling old fool that would walk everywhere. Everyone fell in love with him.
Thank you. Hopefully more people will walk in the future.
I doubt it.
I'm pro retirement, okay? I'm pro walking. Do it.
Yeah, I won't be doing it.
Okay, that's fine. That's fine. You're playing a superhuman. It makes sense. I'm down with that.
Exactly.
If you're playing a retired human, maybe walk. Just saying. You don't have to. It's your own RP. Consider it though. Yeah, I guess I'll raid because now I can actually do it. I'd like to take us to this cool channel that plays music but improvs the whole thing. I think that's super dope. So that's where I'm gonna take us. Yeah. Oh, I don't know how to do it. Okay, nailed it. All right. Good night or good morning to you. Wonderful, whatever. Have it, please.